Investigators are working to piece together a motive for the deadly Brown University shooting and the murder of an MIT professor. The suspect committed suicide days before police found him in a New Hampshire storage unit. Brooke Taylor is live in Providence, Rhode Island with more. Hi, Brooke.
Hi, the ATF and the FBI now confirming that the two guns that were found next to the suspect's body have been confirmed to be used in both shootings here at Brown University and also the MIT professor. So that suspect right here, he has been identified as 48-year-old Claudio Neves Valente, a Portugal national and former PhD physics student at Brown University. Police say he fired over 40 rounds into a packed auditorium 1 week ago today. 2 students were killed, 9 others injured. His DNA later matched evidence found at the scene. After a 6-day manhunt, he was dead in a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire, with extensive ammo and body armor found nearby. An autopsy reveals that he died 2 days before he was found. Officials later also connected him to the murder of an MIT physics professor gunned down in his home in Boston just 2 days after the Brown shooting. Police say they were former classmates in Portugal. Brown University is facing criticism for lack of cameras and security. One former student calling out the school's president.
There's this line that I always keep on hearing, is that the building was unlocked because it was during finals. And that's not true. That building is always unlocked.
And now the question here is why. Officials are trying to search for a motive, and sources tell me that they're going through the suspect's electronic devices and also trying to track down his credit card transactions. Back to you.
Brooke Taylor live for us in Providence. Brooke, thank you. For more on this, let's bring in former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor Nicole Parker. She is the author of the book, The Two FBIs, and former FBI special agent and founder of TrustStorm, Wren McEachern. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Nicole, I'll start with you on this. What about this search for motive? How difficult do you think it's going to be to establish why this guy allegedly did what he did?
Look, it's never easy to determine motive. It takes a lot of time. I know that, the American public, they want answers immediately, but this is when the tempo definitely slows down. The killer is now dead, a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and now they have to go through all of the evidence that has been obtained and go through every single little piece. They're going to really be looking closely at that digital footprint. Who was he communicating with? What were his messages saying? Who was he emailing? What kind of relationships did he have in his life? And I know for a fact that the FBI is going to be closely looking at his relationship with the MIT professor. They are both from Portugal. I understand that they went to school together there. I wouldn't be surprised if our ALATs and LIGAS that handle that jurisdiction are looking back into even what happened back in Portugal way back when. But why did he choose to drop out of Brown when he did in 2003? What was the precipitating stressor? This was a very highly planned out plot, and it is horrifying. There are 3 precious souls that are no longer with us, but they will be looking very closely. What was it that made this moment the time that he said, I have to do this now? I have to go to Boston. I have to go to Brown University in Providence, and then I'm going to go kill this professor at MIT. They will be looking through it very closely. Profilers will be looking at it. Just because he is dead, the case is very much alive.
Wren, how long do you think it took investigators to put together the fact that what had happened at Brown University was connected to that murder at MIT?
Yeah, well, according to the affidavit, it looks like when they actually got a hold of the legal attaché in Lisbon, which is the FBI representative over there, they were able to determine that they actually shared this university connection. And that was a key consideration. Right now, they knew there was a connection, that this guy not had just done something horrible in Brown, but that he had actually gone up to Brookline and targeted this MIT professor. That seemed to me to be the first big clue and was actually critical. Now they knew they had somebody who would cross state lines. It was capable and still very dangerous, by the way, and maybe looking for other victims. So that would have ratcheted things up for the FBI as well, going, okay, who's next on that list? Does he have a list? Where is he now? And so from an investigator's perspective, that would be something very scary, because then he is still very active and still very dangerous.
And you look at the break that investigators got here from this guy who followed the suspect, questioned him almost like a law enforcement officer in a way. I mean, how incredible of a break was that, and how fortuitous that, given there were no cameras that caught anything specifically about his face or that could identify him, that you had someone there who was able to go and almost interrogate the guy.
Right. My understanding is that he himself was a Brown University graduate, a homeless individual that was actually living in Brown University's campus, which is mind-boggling to me in and of itself. But good for him that he had the intuition to say, you know what, something is off. And he initially confronted the shooter in the bathroom. He noticed his attire and thought, you know what, you're not dressed appropriately for the cold winter outside. And then he kind of followed him. He noticed that Nissan Sentra. And the fact that he later posted about it on that Reddit post is what led law enforcement to this tip. But again, I cannot understate the failure of Brown University. And to watch the press conference with the president of Brown University almost justifying her, this is terrifying, this is horrifying what happened. I didn't sense a lot of empathy or sympathy. It was more a high level of defensiveness. And that is totally inappropriate. She is the president of Brown. At the end of the day, the buck stops with her. The safety and security of that campus is up to her, and they failed those students. If you go in and look at the 2025 annual security report, which I have looked at very closely, it's about 171 pages. They were not overly concerned. There was no mention of the fact that they were going to fix the blind spot on that corner of the campus. No mention of it at all. But I'll tell you what they were focused on. They were focused on their diversity initiatives. They were running at a $46 million deficit in January of this year, and they were most concerned about where they were going to cut expenditures, and they surely didn't want to cut the DEI initiatives. And that, to me, is dangerous. They were so concerned about making safe spaces, but yet their campus was extremely dangerous, and now there are 2 dead souls. And in addition to that, the MIT professor, if they'd been able to get that information more quickly, that could have saved his life as well.
Okay, guys, we're out of time. Nicole Parker, Wren McEachern, thanks so much for joining our program. Much appreciated.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.